Hello everybody, hi, welcome back to my channel. My name's Karen and this is Karen Sew Slowly. Welcome if you're new and hello if you're one of my regular ladies. I am hopefully going to do this quickly. I say that every time, I know I do, and it ends up being 35-40 minutes, but I really want to get this done and sorted and uploaded so that you get a Friday sews, except not a lot of sewing. So what have I sewn? First of all, my Lyra. This is how far I've got. I am really pleased with it. This is only the second collar I've ever done with a stand. It is a little bit dodgy on this side, so don't look at that bit. Look at that side. That side's lovely. Don't look at that side. And I'm up to the bit where I think the next step in there, where's my book? Where's my book? The instructions is you put the buttons on. Yeah, you put the buttonholes, tells you there, before you sew the sides up or put the sleeves on or anything. Sometimes the buttonholes are the last thing that you do, and people say they just dread doing the buttonholes, because if it's the last thing you do and you make a mess of it, well, to be honest, if I make a mess of that with the buttonholes, the plackets will be getting sewn together and I'll be putting buttons over the buttonholes to cover the mess I've made, because I am not making that again. I couldn't. I don't have the fabric to make it again. But yeah, I'm a bit panicky about it. And I've done buttonholes before, but I've done them on my brother machine. And this is my faff, and I haven't used them. And you use something, where is it here? Called a Sensomatic buttonhole foot. And you actually plug it in next to your needle threader. So that goes into your machine. That goes under your foot, and then we'll see what we'll see. But I have never used it before, so I'm going to have a bit of practice with it first. So I've come to a natural lull in my sewing, whereas I'm a little bit nervous to start it. And I'm, help. Do I do it now, or do I wait until the morning when I feel a bit fresher? I have been watching lots of other channels that I don't normally watch, because I've had 2 or 3 nights on the trot where I've been up from 3 o'clock, and whereas the last couple of days I've gone back to bed at about 6:30, 7 o'clock and had a couple of hours. Last night I was up at, I think I got up 10 to 4. I was awake from about 3, but I got up at 10 to 4, giving up trying to get to sleep, and I haven't been back to bed. So yeah, if I fall asleep or I lose my train of thought more than I normally do, that's why, because I'm very tired. I wouldn't be surprised if I start hallucinating. I'm so tired. I was watching how to do binding on quilting for my Mrs Quilty mat just before I started sewing at lunchtime, and yeah, I was falling asleep. I thought, this is ridiculous. I can't take this in. I'm falling asleep. I'm missing what they're saying. So yeah, sort of doing this. And I used to do that at work, you know, and I used to nut my screen. I always did it when I was doing invoices. They were particularly boring. But never mind. I digress. So yes, I've been watching other vloggers, and I watched Judy running so-and-so. Love Judy. She's so happy and jolly, and she's doing all sorts at the minute. And the reason I picked the particular vlog that I looked at was she'd mentioned quilting in the title. So I went in and watched that. But the one thing that I took away from it, apart from all the fabulous embroidery and stuff that she's doing at the minute, which is really lovely, and I would not have the patience for that at all, is she started a sewing journal just to log what sewing she has actually done. And I thought, you know, that's a good idea for me, but rather than log what sewing I've done, because some days I do absolutely diddly squat, I don't sew a stitch, rather than logging that, I will log what I've bought and what I've ordered, because about, how was it, Monday? I think it might have been Monday, or it might have even been, actually, it might have been last week, Thursday or Friday of last week. I went to my local boys store to buy some cotton batting for my Mrs Quilty projects. And I got some fat quarters as well, which are all Christmas prints, 2 different sorts. That one, I think every one of those has got a robin of some description on it. There's some lovely colours, blues, greys, and then obviously your traditional bright red one, but even that's got a robin on, look. And then this is all berries and holly, different colourways of berries and holly. So, you know, for this time of year, coming up to Christmas. But I did think, if I like the finish of my placemat, I could make placemats for next Christmas, because if I start them now, I might actually get them finished. So anyway, I bought those with the batting and something else. So I started on with the quilting, and I don't know if I said in one of my vlogs over Christmas that I had I had 2 rotary cutters that fell to pieces when I was using them over the Christmas. I think I was just resting on them too much. And there were older ones that I've had for a while, so the blades were gone on them. And one of them fell to bits. One of them fell to bits. The other one, I thought I'll change the blade on it. And they were like part of a set. They both looked the same. Well, one of them was part of a set, the one that fell to bits. So the bigger bladed one that matched that one, I took it to bits to see how it went together, where you put the washer, where you put the bolt, the screw, the nut, what have you, and where the blade went in the middle of all the bits and pieces. Took the big one to bits, and again, I've obviously had that in a pack of 2, and I've had it a while, and the blade needed changing in that one anyway. So I thought, well, I'll take it to bits. I'll see which goes where. Well, I took it to bits, undid a screw. It all fell to bits again, and I couldn't get the order. And I fiddled on for so long trying, and I just thought, you know, life's too short. So I ended up chucking the 3 of them away. The one I'd taken to bits to see how it went back together, the one that fell to bits itself when I was using it, and the other one that the blade needed replacing and I couldn't get back. Once I'd put the blade in, I couldn't get it back together. So I just threw the 3 of them away. And then when I started my quilt block the other day, I thought I really need a little rotary cutter. Rather than using the great big pizza slice size, I thought I'll get a little rotary cutter. And so I ordered this, and it's by the Quilted Bear. And it's really nice, actually. It's got a lovely ergonomic handle, nice to get a hold of, rubbery, sort of ridged on the sides for you to grip onto, and it's a nice size. And I ordered that. And then I finally got round to emptying the bag from boys. I bought one of these. I'd already bought one, same size. Which is why I need to follow Judy's sewing so-and-so, running so-and-so. I need to follow Judy's advice, and I need to keep a journal. But it is going to be what I've bought. Oh, what fabric I've ordered. I have a notebook which was bought by a friend, and I think I've showed you this before. It says, easily distracted by dogs and sewing machines. But it is just a notebook. It's not like a sewing planner where it's all sectioned off. It's just an ordinary notebook, and I am going to keep that as my sewing diary. That means I've got to keep it by the bed for sort of 3:30 in the morning orders that I put in, which, let's face it, that's why I forget I've done stuff, because it's so early in the morning when I'm not sleeping, and I do it, and then this stuff arrives and I don't know what it is till I open it. So I've hit a lull because I am about to use this Sensomatic button foot, and because I haven't used it, I'm a little bit nervous, and I've picked some buttons, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you these, but wait, see if the hands will hold them. Can you see those? So they are the daylights hitting them. But they're a mixture of purples, pinks, white, and they're all different sort of colourways, and there's bits of colour in them. There's some that had green on, so I've picked those out because there's no green in the blouse. But all the colours that are on these buttons are in that top half of my Lyra. I know there's little bits of orange in these buttons, but if you see there are bits of orange and peach, very pale peach, all over. It looks a bit like you've spilt your tea. Sometimes I look and think, oh, is that a stain? But it's not. It's not. It's actually in the pattern of the fabric. So I think those buttons are going to look okay. The only thing that's really bugging me is that they are the 4-hole buttons, and I hate sewing buttons on. So, you know, for every button you've really got to sew 2 buttons on, haven't you? Because you've got to do 2 lots of 2 holes. Anyway, so that's my buttons. That's how I am with the Lyra. Like I say, I've come to a lull. I don't know if I said, but I was using a plastic quilting foot, which I must have got from Amazon, with my brother over the last week when I was sewing the quilting mat. And you had to move the needle to a different position to use this quilting foot. With any of the quilting foot, or the original sort of brother quilting foot, you have to move the needle. And I forgot to do it. And this needle went straight down into the plastic quilting foot on my brother machine and stuck there. And I had to remove the whole foot gubbins from underneath to get the needle out. And my needle threader is now not working. And I did tell Linda this, and she said, oh, when your needle threader stops working on a brother, I don't think they can do anything about it. So I might have to look at getting the brother serviced or getting it looked at. But I'm so annoyed with myself for just not thinking and moving the needle or trying the needle, because I had a different foot on the machine. And I don't know if that's why that's making me a little bit nervous, because using a different foot on my faff machine. I really don't want to break my faff machine as well. So that's where I'm up to with that. And I thought, you know, the light's getting quite bad and the eyes today are horrendous. I really need daylight to sew now. I've probably got half an hour of decent light left to do a bit of sewing. So the light's going. I'm going to use the button foot and I'm nervous about it. Don't want to make a mess of this because I'm quite pleased with what I've done so far. And yeah, I'm thinking, let's just leave it for today. We'll come back to it tomorrow, try and get some done before I go for chemo, or we'll come back to it at the weekend if we can, where the light's better. And hopefully my eyes will be a little bit better, because they do bob in and out. Some days they're better than others, and today's a really bad day. I am looking through, I think, 2 net curtains today. And that's leading me on nicely to the next thing, to say thank you so much for all of the lovely comments and your concerns about my eyes, and just, you know, wishing me well and everything. I'm so grateful for all of the comments and things that you see, and you're just lovely, the lot of you. You're just gorgeous. I love the lot of you. You're all. Everybody was offering me advice, and a lot of people were saying that their parents and different people that they know or themselves it had sort of same sort of procedure that I've got to go for, and it worked perfectly and their vision's been fab. So an update on that is I have an appointment on the 13th of February to go and have a pre-assessment. The only thing that, and I really should have contacted them sooner, and if my husband sees this vlog and sees that, he will go mad, because he was on at me to contact the eye place all over Christmas, and he was just like, will you please ring them, will you please ring them? And I left it and left it and left it. Anyway, I managed to get down to the opticians when we were in the Metro Centre one night, and I said, oh, I'll just go in and make an appointment. So I went to see them, and he has referred me, and I had to take a letter into the GPs. But I did ring up on Monday and say, look, I brought a letter in last Wednesday. Have you referred me? And they said, yeah, we did it a couple of days ago. So that was great. And then I rang the place that I go to for the op that I went to for my cataract ops. And they said, oh yes, they have referred you. You've got an appointment. And the letter must be on its way out, but it's on the 13th of Feb. So I'm going for my pre-assessment then. And the reason I wish I'd contacted them earlier is because I am going down to my sister's on the 16th to see James Blunt again in concert, which I'm really looking forward to. I am just hoping I can actually see him in concert. I mean, I'm assuming it's at the O2 Arena this time. It's not the Albert Hall. So I'm assuming they're going to have huge screens. And I'm thinking I will be able to see a huge screen. So that's where I am with my eyes. And yes, thank you for all your well wishes and everything like that. And I have had lots of people offering advice on quilting. A lot of people said, it's looking fine. Don't panic about it. It looks great. But I didn't notice. Let me just grab my Mrs Quilty book and my mat and I'll show you what I'm... It wasn't until I edited my vlog where I showed you the Mrs Quilty mat that I realised another error in the instructions. And I found the card that said, oops, we've made a mistake. There is the picture, which I showed you all, of the placemat. And there's my placemat. Can you see the difference? So they tell you what fabrics to use. There's the fabric, indigo floral. The next one down is baby blue dots. The azure blossoms, which is the azure blossoms is that one, and it's my absolute favourite, which is why I made the placemat, because the azure blossoms, which is my favourite fabric, was on the big corners, the centrepiece. It was up against the baby blue dots, and I think I said to you I wouldn't have picked that colour combination, because where is that picture? The white frame with the blue dots stands out, and the frame round the square in the middle stands out. These all just blend into one. So I really wish I'd checked against that picture, but I just kept going back. I kept checking that the fabric I was using was the fabric they listed in the instructions, and they've just got the azure blossoms and the other one the wrong way around. Well, that's what somebody said who Dizzy Quilts and Sews, I think. That lady said they've got the fabric the wrong way around for the indigo floral and the azure blossoms, but actually the baby blue dots, that's wrong as well, because that's baby blue dots in the picture, and that's this fabric, the azure flowers or whatever they are now, indigo azure, oh I don't know, what is it, indigo floral. So this is indigo floral in the picture, that's baby blue dots, the centre square and these squares are the azure blossoms. For all I'm quite chuffed with that, I've used the favourite bit of fabric out of the box to make something, because there was a lot of it used, and then there isn't a lot of it on there, and I don't think it goes as nicely next to that. It blends into what, it's good because you can't see the mistake I made, and you can't see that me things don't join up as good, but I like the look of that placemat in that book. And then I started looking through, and the pot holder, which is there, it has the finished size is 8.5 inches by, I think it's 8.5, yeah, 8.5 by 8.5 inches. But can you see the backing fabric? It's saying cut 10 squares of 10 by 10 inches. Well, no, because it only comes out at 8.5 by 8.5 inches. And backing fabric, you only need 1, you don't need 10. I'm beginning to think I haven't made a mistake. And it was Vicky Sews Clothes who made a comment, who said she's been looking at the reviews of the Mrs Quilty subscription box and she doesn't think it might be my mistake. And I'm so pleased she said that, because yeah, I don't think it is my mistake. I think it's their measurements. I do recommend, if anybody's thinking about going for a Mrs Quilty box, that they look at some of the reviews. Hello, I'm back. So I've completely forgotten where I was up to. I've only been at the door 5 minutes. That was the guy reading the electricity meter. Odd. Don't know if we've requested that or if it's because we've just moved. Well, we haven't just moved. We moved in September. So anyway, right. So where was I up to? Yes. So Mrs Quilty. So yes, I would recommend possibly having a look at reviews before you go for the Mrs Quilty. That it's actually going to put somebody off who's wanting to start quilting, and then a project goes horribly wrong. I mean, mine's been fine. It's okay. Yeah, it's missing a little bit, but I'm not going to get upset about that. It's not like I'm going to wear the thing. It's you know, if you were putting a zip in a dress and you'd put it in like that, then yeah, I would get upset about it. But it's a placemat at the end of the day, and if I don't get it out, nobody's going to see it. So not going to get stressed about it at all. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who commented and said about my eyes and wished me well, etc. That's all great. And let's have a... Where's my specs? What have I done with my specs? There we are. Took them off before I went to the... Yeah. So Lynn Gates was really good in what she said about, she gave me quite extensive instructions about reading the Mrs Quilty instructions before you actually look at the instructions for the pattern. They're like to give you terms and things like that. However, that quilting mat, it gave you the instruction of RST, right sides together, which we all know from garment sewing. And it told you that it meant right sides together. Not once in those quilting instructions for the mat did it mention RST or say RST or right sides together. Linda Eccles did say that she thought quilting would drive us mad. And it has a little bit. Janice with an IS. She did say that the backing fabric is always bigger than that was right, that the backing fabric is always a bit bigger. Lynn from Sew My Time said experienced quilters seem to do a lot of chopping off of edges and things like that, so she thought the backing fabric maybe just needed trimming down, and the bits where my placemat didn't sort of match up at the edges here, she said, oh, I'd just trim them off, which I was sort of thinking I would do. I'm now not going to bother pulling that out. I'm just going to stitch it to the backing fabric. So I've been investigating how to do binding because it doesn't give you those instructions. The other lady who, and I'm sure I'm going to say this name wrong, Magella, it's Majella. She commented on, like I was saying, I had really bad cramp over Christmas in my legs. She said, oh, if you can bear it, a teaspoon of mustard in a glass of water apparently works a treat. Well, I hate mustard. Or if you can bear it again, actual just mustard off the teaspoon. Well, there's just absolutely no way I could do that. Vile stuff. And I did send a reply to her going, ugh. But why are these remedies always something so horrible that is a particular taste or a strong taste? Like, you know, can't think of one off the top of my head, but it's always something like you used to gargle with, was it salt water for a sore throat? Well, that's flipping awful, and if you swallow it, it makes you ill. It's never like, have a piece of cake. Cake solves cramp, or get 2 cubes of chocolate, a bit of dairy milk or a bit of Galaxy. That'll sort your cramp out. It's always something vile that you don't like. So yeah, I'm sorry, Magella, but if that's how you say your name, Mayella. I won't be trying the mustard one. And actually, the bar of soap is still working at the moment. Again, I've had cramp in my hands and I've had cramp in my legs downstairs. We've been sitting in the chair, but not in bed where the bar of soap is. So hopefully, I am going to leave it there, folks. I don't think I've got anything else to tell you. I think that was it. I will just consult my my notes. Oh, I watched Alison, so like Dottie's vlog on the life behind, the secret life of a vlogger and what she does to prepare. And I couldn't help but send her a message to say, if I did what I do to prepare, I clag a bit face on if I can be bothered. And I just sit down and blah, 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 and that's it. If I've got a minute to film, I'll film. And you know me, I was coming on for what, 10 minutes? It's now nearly 40 minutes. This is ridiculous. So I don't find it a problem talking. Anyhow, right, I am going to leave it there, folks. I just wanted to show you how far I've got with the Lyra and the no further progress on the placemat, but I shall be doing that shortly. And yeah, wish me luck for my buttonholes and my buttons on the Lyra. Still a bit nervous. Anyway, take care, everybody. Have a glorious week, and I'll hopefully catch up with you next Friday. Take care. Bye.